at vi i dag skal prøve at kigge på at bygge en model, som kunne bruges i for eksempel i et spil eller noget af den stil. Og nu har jeg sådan lige lavet lidt forberedelse her, for at vise jer, hvad det her går ud på. Så her der har vi to trækasser, create models. Så nu oppe i venstre hjørne, der har jeg slået sådan noget, hvad skal man sige, polygon feedback til. Der er meget lag på musen her. Så I kan se, at hvis jeg nu vælger den her, som er den cache bygget først, så hvis vi kigger her, så kan I se, at der er 2646 polygoner i den. Og det er der, fordi at for at gøre den pæn og fin og pussenusse, så har jeg rundet kanterne og sådan nogle ting. Og det bruger selvfølgelig en masse polygoner på det. Og hvis jeg nu skulle bruge den i et spil, så vil det jo blive sådan lidt tungt, hvis man skulle have mange af dem i hvert fald. Derfor har jeg lavet en her, og den er der 6 polygoner i stedet for. Det er simpelthen bare en terning. Men det jeg har gjort, det er, at jeg har taget og overført den visuelle kompleksitet eller detaljegrad fra den her til den her ved hjælp af textures. Jeg har et farvetexture her, men det der ligesom er hele hemmeligheden, det er det der hedder mit normal map. Og det er den vi har her, hvis jeg lige slår view til. Vi slår alt den fra her. Sådan her. Det her det er et normal map. Og for at forstå hvad det er, en normal det er den retning der peger ud fra en polygon, altså lige ud fra den. Og hvis den bliver bøjet, så ændrer den egenskaberne for overfladen sig. Om lyset det er sådan, om der er genskin her eller genskin der. Den måde et normal map det er gemt på, det er at man har rød og grøn styreretningen i U og V retningen, og så har man den blå som ligesom er basisfarven. Så I kan se her, jo mere den kommer over i de turkise eller cyan farver, jo mere er det den grønne retning der er på, og jo mere den kommer over i de her lilla farver, jo mere er det den røde retning der er på. Så det er sådan en måde hvordan man bøjer overfladen. Og det er blevet brugt til at skabe effekten af at vi har sådan en ujævn overflade her. Nu kan jeg lige prøve at gøre et lille trick. Sådan her. Lige prøve at slå farven fra her. Sådan der. Så kan I se hvordan at den her bump eller normal mapping effekt skaber illusionen af at overfladen er ujævn. For det er den jo faktisk slet ikke. Den er bare som den er. En anden lille ting jeg har benyttet mig af, det er at jeg har lavet noget der hedder et occlusion map. Og et occlusion map er en welcome. We will change to English. An occlusion map is a way of calculating shadows. And instead of being, we have a light source here, and we have something casting a shadow, and then we have an object here. What it does is it calculates light rays in a hemisphere from every single point, and then it looks at how many of those rays will be in shadow, and then it uses that to calculate a shadow ratio. So in this case, because we have these edges here, of course the corners will be darker than the open areas because it will be a little bit in the shadow. And that is the effect you're seeing here. It's darkening it slightly because of that. And I'm creating that inside the program. I make it calculate that for me. So what I'll do is I will create this crate model from the ground up, and then you can see how it works. So let's pop to a clean version of Maya here. So the first thing I do is I will create a cube. So I create a polygon cube. Again, interactive creation off. And for this I'll just scale my cube up. Have something like this. And the other thing I'll do is I will select all of the faces, and then I'll use my polygon extrude tool. I'll just get my polygon shelf there. This is my extrude tool. And if I take this and then use the scale here, you can see nothing happens. And the reason for that is that we have this called keep faces together turned on. If I turn that off, then it'll allow me to split faces out, so each of them will act separately. So I will place this here perhaps, and then I'll do another extrude where I'll drag this in slightly, something like this. Actually, I might just scale this in a little bit, just a tiny bit, not a lot. No, I need something like that. So this is the basic geometry I want to use to create my my crate. Now the other thing is I want to texture this, and I have this rather nice texture. Let's see, it's on the desktop in let's see, it is here. This is also in your Fronter. So I found this texture here on just googled wooden texture of some sort, and I downloaded this, and I'm going to use that to texture the crate. So let's just do that. The first thing I'll do is I will right click and go assign a favorite material. I'll use Blinn. That is my favorite material most of the time. And then I'll go to the material settings, right click, material attributes, and in the color section I'll click the color texturing button, and I'll choose file, and then in the file node I'll browse for the file, and it's on desktop, the materials, wooden planks. Okay. So now I assigned the texture, but we don't see it yet because I didn't click the texture button here. So there we go. It looks very interesting, right? We'll get back to that. If I select this and open my UV texture editor, we can see that right now it looks like this. That's not what I want. What I really want is to have this texture on each of the sides. So I go back to the function that generated the cube, the polycube one, and then in the create UV section I select each face separately. So that will just texture the whole thing here. Now this still looks weird because of the extrusions I made, but it's quickly handled by going to polygons and then go to relax, and then set the relax to world space, and then a number of iterations, 5, 10, 20, it doesn't matter. I just set it to 20. So when I relax this, what you'll see is that all of these points are actually right now mapped to the same texture. So the reason why we have stretching here is that this point up here and this point up here is both taking the color information from up here. So it will be the same area. So when I relax this, these will start to look more like the cube. So I need to select my UVs. There you go. Apply. And you can see what happened now is that it will relax this to look more like the model does. So I actually have the same texture on all sides. That works pretty okay at the moment. So I'll just close this for now, and what I'll do now is I want to create a more detailed texture. So I'll just select my model. I'll go to the rendering menu set, and in the rendering menu set I will go to texturing, and there's something called create PSD network. Just a thing to check before I do this is the preferences for Photoshop. So if you have problems getting Photoshop to launch from within Maya, you need to go to Window, Settings, Preferences, and then there's something called Applications at the bottom of the preference window. And in here you need to set up image editing for PSD files and other files. In my case, I just browsed to the location of Photoshop for both of them. So whenever I want to edit any type of image file, it will just launch Photoshop. So that should be fine. So I'll go back, Texture, Create PSD Network, and I get this view here. I'll just give this a name. I'll call it mycrate1, something like that. And then I have to set the resolution for this. I'll just do this at 1024, so it will be 1024 pixels across. And I want to have the UV snapshot come along, so I want the same lines as I had in the UV editor. And then I need to choose what layers I want. I want a color layer, obviously. I would like to have a bump layer as well. And do I want more? Yeah, perhaps I want a specular color as well. So that's 3 different layers or layer groups I want. And we can see here that the color channel is already mapped, so it knows that it has to send that color information to Photoshop. I have it set to open Adobe Photoshop, so I just go Create, and it opens Photoshop. And you can see I have the same UV layout as I just saw in Maya. It's on a separate layer called UV Snapshot. The way Maya works is that you can see it has layer groups here. It has a layer group called Blend 1 Specular Color, Blend 1 Bump, and Blend 1 Color. And whatever is going on inside these layer groups will be transferred to that channel inside Maya. So what I'll do here is I'll just turn off the other ones here so I can see my color channel. And then I want to just make these wooden planks fit my my texture here. So I grab that layer and I'll just duplicate that layer by dragging it here. And then I want to just cut out an area here, so maybe something like that. Control C, Control V, and I'll just grab that layer. If I have auto select on, I always get to select the whole layer group, and that's really crappy. So I turn auto select off, and then I can just select that little layer I got there. Then I go Control T, and then I will rotate holding shift, so I can just rotate it like so. And then I'll put it up here. That's fine, double click. And then what I need to do now is just cut off unwanted parts. Ooh. Something like this. And I want to grab my polygon clip here, so I just want to do something like this. Get rid of that, and then the same thing over here. There we go. Oop. Yes. And then what I need to do now is take the same thing and put it at the bottom. So I just copy that layer, and then I'm going to transform, rotate that 180 degrees, and then move that down here. So I think that will be the layer I want to have. Okay, so great. I will just merge these, so just go merge layers, there we go. And then I want a copy of this, and that copy I will place in the bump map group, and I'll just turn the bump map group on. Now, if you remember from yesterday, bump mapping works that in a way that the bright parts will seem like they are sticking out of the model, and the dark parts seems like they are sticking in, or opposite. So it's basically a brightness base layer. So I just want this layer to be a grayscale layer. But first of all, let's just make this adjustment, desaturate. So now it's a grayscale layer. I want this to be something that will bump well, and there's a couple of little tricks here. So the first thing I'll do is I will use a high pass filter, and as you can see, if I change the radius here, I can make the texture remove like anything except the fine detail. So what I want is I want the dark parts to be like the veins in the wood. I don't want like the big dark parts. So if I just tweak this a little bit, I can get rid of anything except the little lines that are actually the veins. So that's what I do with the high pass filter, and then I can just go and adjust the levels here to just make some of it a little darker and some of it a little brighter. So I get a nice contrasty look here. So that is my bump channel. I want for my specular channel, I also want to grab this color image, and let's just put it up there, turn on the specular. I just want it to be slightly less saturated, so I just go and go layer, adjustment, saturation there, and then I'll just turn down the saturation. The specular color will be the color of the highlights in a certain area. So I'll just turn that down so that I have less saturation there, so there won't be as much color. Okay, so this is done. I'll just press save, minimize this, and when I get back to Maya here, nothing updated yet. Sometimes I need to go and say update PSD textures. There you go, and then it updates the file from the texture file. And you can see now I have a fairly okay crate model here. To see the bump maps properly, I need to set this to either high quality, or even better, to viewport 2.0. So you can see this is a little intense. So if I go to my material settings, material attributes, there you go, and then I go to the bump mapping, and then I just need to go back this way for some reason. If I then turn on the bump depth, then I can adjust how intense this should be. So I think for me, actually, a value of -0.1 maybe, something like this. This looks fairly nice. I get the feeling that there is a structure in the wood. Maybe it has to be +1. Let's just try that. See there, and then that one. And just remove the minus. Yeah, maybe 5, something like that. Okay, I'll leave it at this. This is okay. Now this is quite sharp at the moment. So what I want to do is I want to round all of these corners. So what I do is I go to my polygon menu set, and I grab edit mesh, bevel, and that will start rounding the corners. And as you can see, it looks a little weird now, but if I set this to an equal number, it will look nice, because it will know that this is from the original part up here, and this is from the original part down here. If it's set to an uneven number, there's this part here where it doesn't know if it should take it from the one or the other part. So I'll just bump this up to maybe 6, something like that. So that looks, get a nice little rounding there. What I can do is I can, in the bevel, there we go, I can change the radius here, just tighten it up a little bit, like so. And then you can see I have this this edge here, so if I grab it and go normals soften, that should help a little bit. It will not fix it completely because there's actually color difference between the texture here and here, but as soon as, I mean, if I'm not really up close, I can't see it. So from here it looks just fine. So this thing, as we can see, has 2646 polygons, a little on the heavy side for maybe a game. So what I want to do is I will use a transferring mechanism to transfer the detail from this model into a texture map for another model. So I create a new cube and I just scale that up. I just want it to be slightly bigger than the original one, just like very little. And a technical thing for what I want to do, to get a good result on the normal map, I usually set the normal map to soften edge. So I get this, because now it will be, it actually tries to shade itself like it's a sphere. So that's why we get this like very soft effect. So I have these two models inside each other, like so. So I grab the outer model, and I go to the rendering menu set, and I go to lighting and shading, and there's this section called transfer maps. So because I had this selected, it already knows that that is the target mesh. So I want to transfer this to the six-sided polygon. I select the high-res one and say source mesh, add selected. So it knows that the very detailed one will be the one that I'm using as a reference. And then I can set up different things. These buttons will activate different sections here. So I already set it up to do an ambient occlusion map. So what that means is it will use the small corners, etc., on the detailed box to try to generate a little shadow map for it. And I can set this, let's just do it, set it to TGA, and I want this to be my sampled occlusion. So I'll just go my in front of this. And I just want this to have 32 occlusion rays, and max distance should be, let me see, max distance should maybe be two units. 1 unit here is 1 box. So I want it to not consider anything further away than 2 units. Then I want it to transfer the diffuse, that is the color, and that should go to a PNG file. There we go. And I will call this my as well, my sampled diffuse color. And the final thing I want is the normal map. I want it to look at the shape of this model and create essentially a bump map for the low-res version that will make it look like the detailed one. And this is a very common way to do game graphics. So this should be, again, I want this as a PNG. I want this to be named my, simply because I have other files named the same, so I don't want to override it. Include materials, that means that I will take the bump mapping information and use as well. So I'll get the structure as well. I want to use tangent space. I just talked briefly about this yesterday. Object space would actually work on this model because it's like a rigid model. I'm not going to deform it. But tangent space is just like, I never use anything else than that. The final thing you can see it says use my common and use my mental ray common settings. Those are the things at the bottom here. So I need to define the resolution. So this thing should be perhaps, let's see, it'll be slightly lower. So I'll do 1024 by 1024. It should be bigger, but it'll take a while to do, so I'll just leave it at that. One thing I forgot, actually, I just need to go back and fix. If we take my low-res model here and we open up our UV texture editor, go. You can see that this is the layout, and that is not the most efficient use of the texture space. So what I'll do is I will unitize this. That means that all polygons are just full size, and then I'll do a layout on it. So now I'm using the texture space to the best of my ability. I'm getting like the biggest coverage in here. So that is something I just needed to do. And when I'm done here, I'll click bake and close, and then it will start, and we should see a progress bar down here where it starts calculating. If you set something like the map height and width to 2048, then it'll be 4 times slower, of course. If you turn up sampling quality, it will be slower, etc., etc. So more is slower, but you need to figure out what do you need for your application. If it's a casual game or something like that, a texture map of 512 by 512 might be enough. Depends on the size of the model on your screen. So it should be done in just a second. There we go. And then just turn on textured. And what you'll see is that this thing is the detailed one, and this is the non-detailed one. What I'll do here is I'll just make this a blend material. It becomes Lambert by default. I'll make it a blend so that we get a little bit of shininess there. You can see, since I set the texture map to not calculate at full res, it looks a little blurry compared to the other one. But the one I did earlier, where I let it calculate for I think like 10 minutes, you can see I get the nice quality across. So it's just a question of setting the resolution of the target texture higher. Now, okay, I have this texture here. I'll just go and do the Photoshop routine once again. So I'll just go to texturing, create PSD network. For this one, I want the bump mapping, I want the diffuse map, I want the color map, and I actually want the specular color as well, but I lost that somehow on the way, so I'll just generate that again. So I'll just go and set this to 1024, that is the original size, and I'll go to call this new cube shape. There we go, and we open up. So you can see this is our color information. This is our occlusion pass I talked about, where it's trying to shadow parts with respect to what's in front of each other. So if I grab this layer, just copy that, put it in my color section, and then I just set this to multiply. There you go. So what you can see is that this will actually darken the color information just around the corners of where the edges are on the box, and of course, if I want this to be even darker, I can just make another copy of this, and then it becomes really dark. So that's actually fine. I have my bump map is doing just fine. You'll see that it actually looks a lot different from before. So this is what my bump map looks like. Okay, there we go. So you can see that the coloring information here is trying to show how the normals of the surface are actually pointing. So this is the way it should look. So this baby blue is actually neutral normals, and these are all twisted. That's why they get the blue and red and cyan green colors. And then of course I'd like to have something in the specular color. I'll just grab my color information here. I'll just duplicate that layer, and I will drag that into my specular color, and I will just desaturate this a little bit. So just go adjustment, hue saturation, just turn down the saturation a bit, like so. I might actually also have one of these occlusion layers on top, so that it just darkens it slightly. And so I just go save, and then I go back here, and let's see, maybe I just need to just go update, like so. Yeah, so you can see now my model looks, so this is 2000 polygons and this is 6. So you can create something that looks quite nice quite easily this way. Another thing you can do in Photoshop quickly here is if I just go back to Photoshop and I go to I just turn off these layers so that I can work on the color. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. And then just let us take a nice brush and just make this will be like a good. Let's just grab the red color here and then change the size of the brush like so, and then go need another layer there, so, and then go. Why am I not drawing anything? It's because I'm in the wrong layer. There we go. Something like that. And then again, just save that out, and then it should hopefully be on one of the sides here as soon as I update my texture. Because of course it's on the side that is hidden. So there you go. So you can quickly add detail to your model by just popping back and forth to Photoshop. So that was the initial